Okay, let's dive in.
Ready when you are.
Today, we're plunging into a fascinating world where language really pushes the very limits of physical articulation. We're talking about tongue twisters or Zungenbrecher.
And specifically, we've got some source material here detailing, well, it looks like a blueprint for a pretty high-stakes event. The Notebook LM Zungenbrecher Contest 2025.
Exactly. The source lays out the whole structure, the different rounds. And most importantly for our deep dive, it lists the precise German tongue twisters they're using.
Right. So our mission today, essentially, is to unpack these lists. We want to understand how the difficulty ramps up across the rounds, according to this source.
Yeah, and what makes these specific phrases so good at, well, tying your tongue in knots when you try to say them fast?
What makes them work as challenges?
Think of this as getting into the mechanics of linguistic difficulty, all through the lens of this contest setup.
And for you listening, this is kind of your shortcut. We're digging into the contest's own material to show you the specific hurdles in these Zungenbrecher.
Straight from the source, as it were.
Exactly. And the source, it clearly divides the contest into 3 rounds. Starts with classics, apparently, then moves to tougher stuff, even some specially designed challenges.
So we'll explore each round, see how it builds.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, let's jump right in then. Round 1. The source titles this Klassische Zungenbrecher, classic tongue twisters.
Round 1, yes.
Yeah.
This seems to be the foundation. The source lists well-known Zungenbrecher, the kind that often target really common pronunciation sticking points in German.
These are the ones you might have heard before.
Probably. They're notorious for a reason. The source gives us 10 of them for this first round. Participants had to get through these first.
Okay, and kicking it off. Number 1 is arguably the most famous one. Fischer's Fritz, Fischer's Fritz. Wow, just reading it slowly, you can feel the work involved.
Yeah, you absolutely can. The immediate challenge, and it's clear just looking at it, is that rapid back and forth between the F sound and the sh sound. That F, top teeth, bottom lip, push air, labiodental fricative. But then sh, that's different. You pull your tongue back, air through a wider channel further back, postal veolar fricative.
So your mouth is doing gymnastics. Teeth on lip F, tongue back sh, back again. What, 8 times in that short phrase?
Pretty much. And look at the words themselves. Fischers, Fritz, fish, fish. They're all built around those sounds.
And they repeat syllables, add tricky clusters like R or the sh, followed by vowels and consonants like in Fischer's. It's designed to trip you up.
Exactly. The repetition of similar words and structures, Fischers, Fritz, Frische, it puts a huge cognitive load on you when you try to sequence it fast and accurately.
Your brain knows what to do, but the signals get tangled.
That's a good way to put it. It's so easy for the signals to get crossed because the sequence is so similar. That's why it's a classic. It hits those fundamental speech motor control points really hard.
So just keeping the sounds clear, not mushing them together, that's the battle.
That's the main fight, yes. Maintaining clarity.
Okay, so rapid phonetic shifts. High repetition. Got it. What's next on the sources list for round 1?
In Ulm und herum. This feels completely different.
It does, yeah. The challenge shifts quite significantly here. It's not about those tricky consonant clusters like F and...
Reverbs or shiz jumping out.
Right. The difficulty, it lies in the really subtle changes. You're dealing with simple vowel sounds and prepositions in herum, all repeated around that core word, Ulm.
It seems so simple on the surface, just and these little words.
Deceptively simple. Try saying it faster. In herum, each needs slightly different lip and tongue positions, especially around that U vowel. In is more open.
Need you to close your lips for the M. Herum adds the H and another M, plus the M at the end of Ulm, and that forces a brief nasal closure, air through the nose.
Right.
Which you then have to stop immediately and open up again for the next bit. It's the lack of obvious difficulty that makes it tricky. It tests precision in these tiny, fast shifts.
So it's not about big movements. It's about nailing the small ones perfectly, repeatedly, avoiding blending them together.
Absolutely. You're not tripping over a big cluster. You're stumbling over the boundary between these small, similar words and sounds in a tight loop. Precision.
Okay. The third one from the source brings back some clusters. Brautkleid bleibt Brautkleid and Blaukraut bleibt Blaukraut.
Ah, yes. Now we're back to consonant clusters. Bro and BL appearing multiple times. Both of these need you to coordinate that lip closure for the bilabial stop.
Lips together, stop the air.
With the immediate move into either the R sound or the L sound.
And repeating. Brautkleid bleibt and Blaukraut bleibt, that sets you up for failure, doesn't it? Your brain sees the B, but then has to pick R for Brotkleid or L for Blaukraut.
Exactly. Do you say Brotkleid or accidentally swap the R and L? Plus, just switching between the words Brotkleid and Blaukraut is hard. Rapidly shifting between the R after B in Braut and the L after B in Blau.
Your tongue's doing quick changes. R often uses the back of the tongue, or a trill. L is the tongue tip behind the teeth. Very different, very fast.
It's a perfect test of differentiating and rapidly executing very similar initial consonant clusters. The speed just crushes the time you have to get your tongue in the right spot for that R or L after the B.
Okay, next on the list looks like a bit of a marathon. Der Kottbusser Postkutscher putzt den Kottbusser Postkutschkasten.
Yeah, this one's a classic, specifically because it's so long, and because of that monster word Postkutschkasten repeated. The challenges are, well, multiple, just as the source implies by listing it.
Right, you've got Shigen, Sippel. Like the real killer seems to be that Schick sequence inside Postkutschkasten.
Absolutely. Trying to articulate ch quickly and clearly.
Yeah.
Incredibly difficult. Your tongue has to go from an alveolar stop tongue tip behind teeth to a postal veolar fricative tongue further back, and then immediately back to a velar stop K, back of the tongue hitting the soft palate, all boom, boom, boom.
Like a little obstacle course just for that one part of the word.
Exactly. And repeating that whole complex word structure within the sentence, plus dealing with the other consonants like the P in putzt and postkutscher, it's a massive hurdle for fluency.
It's not just one tricky sound, it's a sequence of tricky sounds you have to nail perfectly multiple times. Endurance.
Definitely tests endurance for specific difficult sequences. Your muscle memory for tongue placement gets a real workout.
The source continues with one that sounds almost musical, but I bet it's tough. Zwischen zwei Zwetschgenzweigen, zwischen zwei Schwalben.
Now we're deep in sibilant and affricate territory. You know, the hissing and shushing sounds like shh affricates those combination sounds.
Like ch or j in English?
Sort of. Here, the Z in German, like in zwei, is a classic affricate. It's a T sound followed immediately by an S hiss. So T-sis.
Okay. Hiss.
And that Z cluster you see here is also common, moving from that is sound right into a V or Dio sound.
And you're doing it loads of times. Zwischen zwei Zwetschgenzweigen, zwischen zwei. Wow. Plus, Zwetschgenzweigen is a beast on its own. Then you throw in the shook in Schwalben for another kind of sibilant. It's like a symphony of hisses and buzzes designed to tangle you up.
It really is. You have to produce that sharp piece of the Z, the shuk, and the Z of W, often right next to each other, very clearly and distinctly.
Super easy for them to just blur together into mush.
Precisely. It tests your ability to keep those sibilants and affricates distinct, especially the z-z-z sounds when you do them quickly. Fine control over airflow and tongue position is key.
Following that, one that looks like it's all about repeating just one word. Wenn Fliegen hinter Fliegen, 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 Fliegen nach.
This one is almost entirely about the repetition of fliegen, and the challenge there is the F cluster.
Right, FL. That's coordinating the F teeth on lip with the L sound tongue tip behind teeth, air around the sides. A lateral approximant.
Correct.
It doesn't feel like the hardest cluster on its own, maybe. But saying Fliegen 7 times while keeping the sentence structure and rhythm, that's the trick.
That's exactly the trick. Your brain sees fliegen, anticipates that FL, and it's incredibly easy to start messing up the sounds within the word, or maybe even drop the L entirely when you speed up.
So it becomes a test of just being consistent under pressure.
Consistency and speed on a relatively common but still, slightly tricky initial cluster. Keep that FL distinct every single time, even when your mouth is getting tired or lazy from saying it again and again.
Okay, next on the source list seems to focus intensely on one sound again. Sieben Schneeschipper, Scheppen, Sieben Schippen Schnee.
Yeah, this is another deep dive into sh, but combined with other sounds. Like, well, actually, Schneeschipper starts with sh, then n. And you have sounds too, plus different vowels.
Right. Schneeschipper and Schippen repeat sh, followed by a vowel, and p, or pp. Schneeschipper has that initial shin combo. And Sieben and Schnee add more s, or sh. It's just a cascade of sounds demanding really precise tongue positioning.
And that sound, remember, tongue further back than for an S. When you're racing through this, it's easy to undershoot and make it sound like an S or just blend everything.
So maintaining that specific tongue position repeatedly, rapidly, that's the core difficulty.
It tests the consistent, clear articulation of sh in different spots within the sentence, especially in those repeated chunks. Really shows if you can make that distinct reliably under pressure.
Okay, number 8 from the classics list. Der Kaplan klepp klappber paplikate.
Okay, here we go. Kagals and preclusters mixed with the standalone P sound. Kaplan, klept, klepper, paplikate, they all feature these.
Right. Kale combines K, back of tongue, Viller stop with L tongue tip, lateral proximate.
Yep.
And pale combines pale lips together by labial stop with the L.
Mm-hmm.
So rapidly switching between making a stop at the back of your mouth, then shifting to L, and then making a stop with your lips and shifting to L, plus dealing with the extra P as in paplicate. That sounds like crazy coordination.
It requires incredible coordination. Your articulation points are jumping back of mouth, tongue tip, lips, tongue tip, lips.
Back and forth, back and forth.
It's all about distinguishing and rapidly articulating these similar-sounding initial clusters that actually start in different places in your mouth. Test that agile switch between velar K and bilabial P before you hit the L.
Okay. 9th classic on the sources list. Acht alte Ameisen aßen am Abend Ananas.
This one's interesting. Not really driven by complex clusters, is it? It seems to target the A vowel sound and those am or an beginnings.
Yep.
Acht alte Ameisen Abend am Ananas.
Right. The difficulty seems to be maintaining that clear, open A vowel and the transition to the nasal M or N while just repeating words that sound really similar at the start.
Ameisen, Assen, M, Abend, Anas. All start with A or M.
Plus you've got the ch and acht, that specific guttural sound at the back of the throat, which is quite different.
Good point.
So even though it's not phonetically complex like some others, the alliteration, the repetition of simple sounds, that can still mess up your rhythm or clarity, right? Or make you swap words by accident when you speed up.
Absolutely. It's a different kind of challenge. A test of vocal tract shape consistency. Maintaining the exact same simple movements, precisely, many times over. Less about difficult acrobatics, more about perfect repetition.
Okay. And finally, round 1 concludes, according to the source, with number 10.
Wiener Waschweiber waschen weiße Wäsche.
Another classic targeting the W sound and the sh sound, often in combination. Wiener, Waschweiber, waschen weiße Wäsche. It's loaded with them. And the German W sound. It's typically made with both lips rounded, pushed forward a bit, a bilabial approximant, different from the English.
Generally, yes.
So combining that lip-rounded dub with the tongue back, like in Waschweiber, or following the W with different vowels, ein Wiener, ein Waschen, ein Weiße, ein Wäsche, that's the challenge.
It is.
Yeah.
Doing that rapidly while repeating similar words, your lips and tongue are constantly shifting between that rounded W position and the shub position, or the various vowel shapes.
Easy for the W to get muddy or for sounds to merge.
Exactly. It's a test of agile lip and tongue movement. Differentiating that German W from the vowels and consonants that follow it in this specific phrase demands quick, accurate reshaping of the front of your mouth.
Okay, so looking back at round 1 as the source lays it out, it really feels like a solid foundation, systematically hits common German sounds and structures known to cause trouble at speed.
Rapid fricative shifts, subtle vowel precision, similar initial clusters, long words with tough internal bits, sibilant differentiation, consistent cluster repetition, alternating stops and liquids, vowel-nasal consistency, and those wish transitions.
It feels like a really comprehensive war-up, testing fundamental articulation skills across the board before things get harder.
Precisely. These are the workhorses of German tongue twisters. Familiar? Maybe, but incredibly effective at finding common weak spots in pronunciation. Covers a wide range of basic phonetic challenges.
All right, makes sense. Let's move into round 2 then. The source titles this section, Bekannte Herausforderungen, known challenges.
Bekannte Herausforderungen.
So, still known, but maybe a step up in complexity from those core classics. Is that the idea?
That seems like a reasonable interpretation. Known challenges could imply they're familiar, but maybe longer, or they combine more types of difficulty, or target slightly less common but still recognized pitfalls.
Okay. The source lists 10 for this round as well. Let's see what they threw at the competitors next.
First up for round 2, according to the source. Esel essen Nessel nicht, Nessel essen Esel nicht.
Oh, interesting structure. Immediately catches your eye, doesn't it? Focuses on S and Ness sounds and the words Esel and Nessel.
And that structure, it's symmetrical, almost a palindrome. Esel essen Ness nicht, then flip it. Nessen essen Esel nicht.
The challenge must be the similarity. Those initial syllables, E versus Ness, and the mirror image structure. You have to switch fast between Esel-Essen and Nessen-Lessen, making sure you don't mix up the vowel E and the consonant vowel Ne, or even just swap the words themselves.
Exactly. It's a test of verbal memory and precise articulation on very similar sounding initial syllables, all while navigating that mirrored sentence.
Keeping track of which word, Esel or Nesseln, comes next, even though they sound alike and the pattern repeats.
That's the core cognitive load here, maintaining order and clarity.
Okay. Next, es klapperten die Klapperschlangen, bis ihre Klappern schlapper klangen.
Ah, this definitely builds on the Kale cluster we saw back in round 1 with Kaplan Klept. But here, it's integrated into a much longer, more rhythmically complex sentence.
Yeah, loads of Kale, Klapperton, Klapperschlangen, Klappern-Klangen, all got that Kale, the velar stuff K, then the lateral L.
But it's not just Kale. Look closer.
Oh, right. You've got Sching, Klapperschlangen, and Schlepper,
Mm-hmm.
and the Schling cluster in Schlepper.
Mm-hmm. Combining Kale with Shen and Schla.
Okay, so this sheer length, that sing-song rhythm, Klepperden, Klepperin, Schlepper, Klangen, kind of rhyme internally. That makes it harder, too.
Definitely. You have to sustain accurate articulation of that Kale cluster while weaving in these other complex sounds and keeping the sentence flowing. It tests sustained articulation of tricky clusters within a longer, rhythmically demanding phrase.
It feels like a step up, integrating sounds we saw before, but in a more complex structure. Demands coordination over a longer time.
Absolutely. Coordination across multiple syllable types, sustained.
The third one, listed for round 2, looks like quite the mouthful. Paints a picture, too. Auf den 7 Robbenklippen sitzen 7 Romsippen, die sich in die Rippen stippen, bis sie von den Klippen kippen. Whoa.
Yeah, this is a prime example of using sound repetition to build cumulative difficulty, a classic tongue twister strategy. The R sound is big here, especially in Robbenklippen, Robbensippen, Rippen.
And lots of PP sounds, too. Robbenklippen, Robbensippen, Rippen, Stippen, Kippen.
Okay.
And the reeds themselves are so similar structurally. Robbenklippen, Robbensippen, Rippen, Stippen, Kippen. They rhyme, they share endings, ippen, ippen. They play with similar initial sounds, R, S, N, K. Repeating Seiben adds to the rhythm and potential for error, too. And you're navigating all these similar words with those internal consonants, B, 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 and the potentially tricky German R. You have to make sure you don't swap words or sounds inside the words.
It really tests your ability to differentiate and articulate words that share so many phonetic features. Demands precision on tiny details like the voicing difference between B and P or keeping that German R sound consistent amidst all the repetition.
Okay. Fourth entry for round 2, according to the source. Schnecken erschrecken, wenn sie an Schnecken schlecken, weil zum Schrecken vieler Schnecken Schnecken nicht schmecken. This looks like another one heavy on a particular sound.
Yes, definitely leaning hard on sound similarity and repetition again. Primarily the Schneck, but in various clusters and next to different vowels. Schnecken, erschrecken, schlecken, schrecken, schmecken.
You've got the Shen cluster in Schnecken,
Yep.
the Shan cluster in Schecken and Schecken,
Hmm.
and the Schil cluster in Schlecken. Wow, rapidly transitioning between those 3 similar but distinct Schluss clusters, Schoplas and R. That sounds incredibly difficult.
It is. They all start with that same she sound, tongue back, but then your tongue has to dart forward or adjust to make the N or immediately after.
And just repeating Schnecken so much makes it easy to stumble over which cluster you're supposed to be saying. Your brain gets pattern matched into confusion.
This tests the fine motor control needed to execute those different sh clusters accurately and repeatedly in a sentence specifically designed to confuse through phonetic similarity. Requires precise, rapid movement after you make the sh.
Okay, next up is short, but looks punchy. Wenn der Benz bremst, brennt das Benzbremslicht.
This one focuses on B, R, and Z sounds, particularly in clusters like bruh, and crucially, that monster in the middle, bruh. The word Benzbremslicht is the absolute key challenge.
Right, Benz has the S sound for Z, then Brr and Bremst and Brent. But yeah, Benzbremslicht, that Benzbremslicht, that Z sequence, T's Brr, followed by M Swiss T. Whoa.
It's incredibly difficult to say smoothly and quickly. Requires rapid shifts between affricates, stops, B, T, implied in sh, approximants are, fricatives, J. Your mouth is doing a whole complex dance routine for just that one compound word.
Like a mini obstacle course inside a single word.
Exactly. It tests your ability to navigate that very dense, phonetically challenging compound word embedded in the sentence. Needs precise coordination of lips, tongue, airflow for the whole sequence.
The source lists another complex multisyllabic repeater. Mischwasserfische heißt Mischwasserscher, Mischwasserfische, fischen.
This feels similar in strategy to Fischer's Fritz from round 1, but the core word is much longer and way more complex. Mischwasserfischer.
Let's break that down. Misch, that sound. Wasser, German. Miss, Fischer, is. German, is. The sound appears twice in that one word.
Twice.
And you repeat the whole thing, Mischwasserfischer, multiple times. Then you add Mischwasserfische fischen at the end for more F and sh. This feels like pure endurance and accuracy on a beast of a word.
It is. You have to nail that entire complex sequence, Mischwasserfischer, perfectly again and again in different grammatical spots.
Pushes the limits of rapidly repeating a complex, phonetically loaded word, demands consistent articulation of all those internal bits over the whole phrase. Your chance of error just goes up with every syllable.
Definitely. High risk of cumulative error.
Number 7 in round 2. Der Flugblattspatz nahm auf dem Flugblattplatz.
Okay, this one targets several sounds and clusters we've seen, but combines them in a tricky way. Features S, again, F plus L, cluster, S plus P, and that C sound at the end of, that's the kiss affricate, same as Z.
Right. You have Flugplatz and Flugblatt with FL and maybe UL or gold, depending on how you say flug. But the key seems to be Flugplatzpatz versus Flugblattplatz. Flugplatzpatz is dense. F-Blatt, Platz, Spitz. Flugblattplatz has FL Plitz. The similarity between those two chunks.
Very similar.
The internal repetition of sounds like PLZ and needing to switch quickly between FL and CFE and end on hus. Very tricky.
It tests your ability to differentiate and quickly articulate similar clusters and word endings, especially when they pop up right next to each other or in similar sounding words. Fine discrimination under pressure.
Moving on through the sources round 2 list. Kluge, kleine Katzen kratzen keine Krokodile. Keine Krokodile kratzen kluge kleine Katzen.
Okay, high density of K sounds here, especially combined with L or R. Kluge, can, Katzen, can, a K, crocodile. K, R, K.
The challenge is just the sheer number of Ks, and that rapid switching between KR, K plus L, and KR, K plus R, clusters plus standalone Ks.
Your tongue is constantly hitting the back of your mouth for that K, then immediately having to transition tongue tip for L, or backroll for R, or just release the K.
And the sentence structure is, again, sort of palindromic, isn't it? Kluge, kleine Katzen kratzen keine Krokodile versus keine Krokodile kratzen kluge kleine Katzen adds that cognitive layer on top of the phonetic workout.
Right. It's a rapid-fire sequence of velar stops combined with liquids. Demands precise tongue positioning at the back and quick transitions away from it.
Keeping those KL and KR sounds distinct at speed must be the main difficulty.
That's the key, yes. Agility and accuracy for those velar sounds.
Second to last in round 2, Zeinsame Ziegen zogen sind 10 Zentner Zucker zum Zoo.
This one is laser-focused, almost exclusively on the Z sound, which we know is that scene's affricate.
Wow, yeah. Zeinsame Ziegen zogen sind Zucker zum Zoo. Almost every single word kicks off with these.
This is less about complex combinations and more about sheer, relentless repetition of one specific, precise sound.
A test of consistent, sharp articulation of T's. Because it's a combo, T stop plus hiss, you need that coordination stop, then release air with the right tongue position. Easy to drop the T part or the is part or just make it fuzzy instead of sharp. Repeating that precise, rapid tongue movement so many times in a row.
Incredibly challenging. Like a machine gun of id sounds, and every single one has to be perfect.
Test sustained, accurate production of that affricate under intense repetition. No break from that specific tongue movement.
None at all. Pure consistency test.
And round 2 finishes with the 10th item on the sources list. In der ganzen Hunderunde grunzt der Hund.
This focuses on the R sound and the Ger cluster. You see it in Hunderunde, Grunst, and Hund.
The German R, notoriously tricky, sometimes guttural, sometimes trilled. Repeating words like Hunderunde and Grunst with R and Gri requires mastering whichever R the speaker uses.
All right. And the phrase needs you to integrate that sound smoothly, especially in the Ger cluster, where you coordinate the velar stop G with the R.
Easy for that R to get weak or inconsistent or just vanish when you speed up.
Exactly. It tests the ability to consistently produce that potentially challenging German R, especially in clusters and repeated structures like Hunderunde and Glumste Hund. Focuses on the back of mouth or tongue tip agility needed for that specific sound.
Okay. Round 2, as the source presents it, definitely ramps things up. Longer words, integrating multiple tricky clusters in one phrase, sentences designed to confuse with repetition and similar structures. You can really see the difficulty stepping up from round one.
Absolutely. These are bekannte Herausforderungen, known challenges, because while maybe familiar, they represent a higher tier of difficulty, often combining multiple phonetic hurdles or demanding sustained accuracy over more complex sequences.
Which brings us to the final, and according to the source, the most daunting stage. Round 3, titled Speziell Desine Herausforderungen, neu und extra schwer.
The specially designed challenges, new and extra hard.
Exactly. And the source here even gives us specific notes on why each one is considered difficult. This is where we see the contest creators really engineering the challenges.
Yes, this is where they push the limits, not just found tongue twisters. These were presumably crafted to hit very specific, intricate pronunciation difficulties.
Right.
Let's look at these 10 linguistic puzzles using the source's own notes.
Okay, first from this extra schwer list. The source note says, viele Schaute, verbunden mit Lick und sowie schwierigen Konsonantenclustern. Lots of sh sounds connected with L and W, plus difficult clusters. The phrase, schluchzende Schwaben schlüpfen, schleppen, schirren, schweben, schützen, schwerlos.
That source note is spot on. You've got schwelt everywhere. Schlussende schlüpfen, schleppen, schellend. You've got schwalden, schweben, schwerelos, and like the note says, other sounds and tricky bits.
And the repetition of those endings, schluchzende, schleppen, schillend, schweben, schützend, adds a rhythmic challenge too, right? Your mouth gets used to it, then has to prep for the next start.
Good point. But the core is that density and variation of shre combined with L and W. Your tongue is working overtime, making the sh tongue back, then immediately moving to the ill position, tip behind teeth, for schwell, to the rounded lip W position for schwell.
Those clusters, schlud and schlich, are complex anyway, but repeating them and switching between them so fast, that's the killer. Trying to keep schliffen, schleppen, schillen, schweben distinct at speed, incredibly hard. They start so similarly.
It's a dense thicket of sibilants and approximants, just like the note says, specifically designed to trip you on those schlich transitions. A prime example of targeting difficult-to-articulate clusters and repeating them in a list that demands precision on each one.
Okay. Second one, with its source note. Häufige K und K-Laute, die schnell hintereinander gesprochen werden müssen. Frequent K and K sounds needing rapid succession. The phrase, Kantschwingender Klempner, klemmt klimpernder Klappen klammheimlich, klug kletternd, krumm kreischend.
The note perfectly captures it. The sheer number of K, bell or stop, and K plus L sounds is intense. Kantschwingender, klemmt, klimpende, klappen, klammheimlich, klug, kletternd. And you've also got Kantschwingender, krumm, kreischend.
So it's exactly what the note says. Not just K in K-low, but K followed by L, R, or another consonant again and again. Your tongue is constantly hitting the back of your mouth for K, then immediately shifting to the tip for L, or adjusting for R.
The speed means there's almost no time for clear articulation after that K burst. Makes it super easy for the following L or R to get muddy or merge. It's a relentless barrage of velar stops and their combos.
Specifically designed for speed and accuracy on those back-of-the-mouth sounds.
This demonstrates a design focused on taxing the speed and accuracy of one type of consonant, velar stops, and its common clusters, KL, KR. The note correctly highlights that rapid switching requirement.
Number 3 is description from the source.
Eine Ansammlung von Schiz und Spellnoten, die das Sprechen erschweren. A collection of shiz and sip sounds that make speaking difficult. The phrase, Nekschattige Schiffe schippen schleifend, schleiten spitz spelten, spriesen splettend. As the note states clearly, this combines various sibilants and sibilant clusters. You've got standalones, insects, spitz, spriesend, splitternd. You've got Schoppostelvioler, fricative, and Saktisch, Scheffeter, Scheppern, Schleifend, Schleichend.
Right.
And you have the Spitzpluster in Spitz, Spolten, Spresten, Splitternd.
So it's a deliberate mix. The sharps, tongue tip near teeth, the tongue further back, and sp, which starts like S but then needs that lip closure for P. Trying to produce these distinct sounds and clusters rapidly, repeatedly, especially with that list structure and the end endings again.
Incredibly demanding.
Your brain and tongue have to instantly know which sibilant or cluster is next and make the exact movement. A real test of sibilant discrimination under pressure. The note nails it.
It represents a deliberate design to force rapid switching and differentiation between closely related but distinct sounds.
Shush.
To speak. The note's right. It's the accumulation and the switching that create the difficulty.
Okay, the fourth on this extra schwer list. Source note. Viele Flaute, kombiniert mit ill und öl für zusätzliche Komplexität. Lots of F sounds, combined with L and R for extra complexity. The phrase, 5 flüchtige Fixe funkeln, furchtbar, fangen flinke Fische, fressen feine Früchte, forschend fliegend.
This one's designed to hammer the F sound, labidental fricative, teeth on lip, especially combined with L and R. 5 flüchtige Fixe funkeln, furchtbar, fangen flinke Fische, fressen feine Früchte, forschend fliegend. It's everywhere.
You have F repeatedly, but also F plus L in flüchtige, flinke, flischen, M for 4 plus R, in fressen, Früchte, forschend. The note is dead on. It's the combination that adds complexity. Rapidly switching between plain F, then FL, then FR while navigating different vowels creates significant difficulty. Your lips and tongue are constantly adjusting right after that initial F, sometimes just making F, sometimes prepping for L or R, demands agility right there at the front of the mouth.
It's designed to challenge the consistent production of F in various contexts, especially with liquids. Requires precise and rapid labiodental movements and subsequent tongue placement. The note correctly highlights that blend.
Number 5, and its descriptive note from the source. Eine hohe Konzentration von S und Its-Lauten, die eine genaue Zungenposition erfordern. High concentration of Z and C sounds needing precise tongue position. The phrase 12 zottlige Ziegen zwitschern zwischen zerren zarte Zitronen, zupfen sittend Zeiger.
The note absolutely nails it. It emphasizes zur and zit in both its affricate and specifically calls out the need for precise tongue placement. Look at the words. 12 zottlige Ziegen zwitschern zwischen zerren zarte Zitronen, zupfen sittend Zeiger.
It's an absolute Z festival. You've got Zord starting several words, standalone Zord. And that note is so insightful, needing exact tongue position for tits. If you're off slightly, it sounds mushy or like just surf or gets dropped. Repeating that precise, rapid movement, stop air behind teeth, release with hiss, especially with the W sound, extremely challenging. Your tongue has to hit the mark perfectly, release, maybe move again for W, over and over, super fast. That note about exact tongue position feels key.
It's a direct test of rapid, precise execution of the T's affricate, especially combined with other sounds like W. Demands consistent, accurate tongue placement and coordination for every single T's. The note captures that core motor control challenge.
6th challenge, source note on difficulty. Wiederholende der Laute, die schnell und präzise artikuliert werden müssen. Repeating der sounds needing fast, precise articulation. The Zungenbrecher. Die drollige Drachen dröhnend, drehen durcheinander, drossen, drücken, dunkel, Donnerschläge.
This one zeroes right in on the Docker cluster. Note highlights repetition, speed, precision, drei drollige, Drachen drehen durcheinander, drossen, drücken, plus other D words like dunkel, Donnerschläge.
The Doctor cluster combines the dental stop, D, tongue tip behind teeth, with the German R, guttural or trilled. Repeating that combo so many times with different vowels requires incredibly precise timing between the D stop and the following R.
Very easy for the R to get lost or weak, or for the whole cluster to sound muddy, like just a D when you go fast.
And those N endings on words like drumen, drukend, dunkel add that little nasal closure you have to snap out of. The note stressing speed and precision on Doctor seems very accurate.
It challenges the rapid, accurate production of Doctor, demanding consistent coordination between the D stop and the following R liquid. Specifically targets that timing and tongue tip control.
Number 7's note from the source. Viele gesorte Orate oft in Verbindung mit R für eine erhöhte Schwierigkeit. Lots of G and Gül sounds, often with R for increased difficulty. The phrase, glitzige Gänse gleiten, gleißend, grölen, grün, grüne Greise greifend, gründlich gudelnd.
As the note clearly says, features G, Velar stop, and G plus L, often with our Greek cluster. Glitschige, Gänse, gleiten, gleißend, grolend, grolend, grüne, Greise, greisend, gründlich, golgend. Standalone G, G, and Gert.
The core challenge, like the note says, is that velar stop G and its combinations involving the back of the tongue. Gur needs coordinating that back of tongue stop with the tongue tip L. Gur needs coordinating it with the German R. Rapidly switching between G, Gur, especially with that repeating N structure again, gleitend, gleisen, grüllend, etc., and similar sounds, incredibly tough. Your tongue has to be super quick and precise at the back for G, then execute the right move for L or R.
And the note mentioning R adding difficulty is key. Combining G with that potentially tricky German R is generally harder than G with L.
Makes sense.
It's designed to test speed and accuracy of velar stop articulation, especially with liquids. Requires complex, rapid tongue movements involving the back and the tip body.
Oh.
The note accurately pinpoints the critical elements.
8th challenge with its note. Eine Aneinanderreihung von Kont- und Klauten, die ein schnelles Umschalten der Zungenposition erfordern. A sequence of Kent and K sounds requiring rapid switching of tongue position. The phrase Nifflige Knöpfe knarrend knistern napp, nisten kryptisch, nirschend nackend, nallend.
The note points right at Karen and K sounds, and crucially, that need for rapid switching of tongue position. Nifflige Knöpfe, nisten 3 times, nadefet, nap, kryptisch, nirschend, nackend, nallend.
This is a direct test of moving between the Ken cluster and standalone K. Ken involves the velar stop K, back of tongue, followed by the nasal tongue tip on alveolar reg, air through nose. Then you hit other K words or repeat nistern.
The note's spot on. You need to shift your tongue quickly from the velar K position to the alveolar N position for carrion, then potentially right back to velar for the next K or Ken.
Rapid, precise movements between quite separated points back of mouth versus front. Easy for the N to vanish or the K not to release cleanly before the N.
This challenges the ability to quickly and accurately switch between that specific nasal stop cluster in Key-in and the simple stop, Key. Demands fast, coordinated tongue movements between velar and alveolar regions. The note correctly identifies the difficulty as that rapid switching.
Okay, the penultimate challenge in round 3. Its note says, starke Harte, die schnell und deutlich gesprochen werden müssen, oft mit anderen Konsonanten. Strong R sounds needing to be spoken quickly and clearly, often with other consonants. The phrase raue, ram, rauschen, rauschen, rudern, raschring, ringen ritterlich, ragen riesig, ödeln rücksichtslos.
This one, as the note explicitly states, is built around the German R sound. Emphasizes the need for it to be strong and clear, especially at the start of words and combined with others. Raue, raben, rauschen, repeated. Rudern, rasch, ringen, ritterlich, ragen, riesig, rückeln, rücksichtslos.
The note stresses strength and clarity for the R and its combinations. You've got standalone R starting many words. Ra, hu, ri, ru. You've got rau with a diphthong. You have ischen, auschen, and rücksichtslos, R before sch.
The challenge, as the note highlights, is consistently producing that specific German R, guttural or trill at the beginning of words, hitting a rapid sequence of them, and then transitioning smoothly into the vowels or consonants after. A, U, E, A, U, A, E, A, Ich. Easy for the R to get weak or inconsistent or swap out when you're rushing. That note stressing strong and clear really pinpoints the difficulty of maintaining the quality of the German R under pressure.
It specifically targets the production of the German R, particularly word initially and in rapid succession or clusters. Demands consistent, clear articulation of this potentially difficult phone throughout, just as the note indicates.
And finally, the last, presumably toughest challenge in the source's round 3 list, the note. Die Kombination von schur, schwer und losvoll macht diesen Zungenbrecher extrem anspruchsvoll. The combination of sh, and sounds makes it extremely demanding. The phrase schwungvolle Schwäne schwen schwankend, schwingen schwungvoll, schwimmen schnell, schälen schimmernd, schwätzen schwach. The note really sums it up. It's that intense, relentless mix of schwa and schwies. Schwa is everywhere, starting loads of words. Schwungvolle repeated. Schwäne, schwammen, schwanken, schwängen, schwimmen, schwätzen, schwach. You have schnell, schälen, schimmernd, and potentially sounds elsewhere.
This is the ultimate sibilant and approximant test, just like the note says. The schwa cluster itself is complex. German note, tongue back, then lips rounded. Then you have to rapidly switch to standalone, schanalone, schwäne, schwimmen, schwankend, all within words that start incredibly similarly. Schwungvolle, schwäne, schwämen, schwankend.
Extremely similar.
Your brain and tongue are constantly scrambling. Is it schwad or schwess or schwess? Chefreis demands exceptionally fast, accurate sequencing of distinct tongue and lip movements. The note calling it extremely demanding feels spot on based on that sound mix. It's a peak challenge for fine phonetic differentiation.
It represents the pinnacle of design difficulty in this list, combining multiple highly challenging and easily confusable sounds and clusters in rapid succession. As the note confirms, requires exceptional phonetic agility and control to keep those sounds clear.
Wow. Looking at these round three examples, especially with the source's explicit notes on the specific challenges, you really see the deliberate engineering.
Hmm.
They're not just random hard phrases. They're meticulously built to target particular articulation weaknesses, intensely focusing on specific combos and transitions.
Like the shoe with L and W, rapid cull switching, that dense mix of if, think, kick, esquis, gestetspies, complex if blends, precise sits, relentless dira jerk, quick nick switches, consistent German R, and that brutal finale.
It's quite something.
Precisely. The progression from round one's classics, fundamental difficulties, to round two's more complex known challenges, ending with round three's custom sequences hitting intricate phonetic movements. It shows a clear structure, progressively testing the limits of pronunciation agility.
The source material really lays out that whole progression, and even the thinking behind the hardest ones.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating to see how the source breaks it down, moving from common hurdles to these hyper-specific engineered tests. Gives you a real sense of the skill involved, not just knowing words, but incredible fine motor control of your whole vocal tract.
Definitely. By laying out the lists and adding those notes for round three, the source gives us a clear picture of the contest's structure and the strategy behind picking or designing these specific challenges, identifying the best of the best in articulation.
So let's wrap up this deep dive.
We've journeyed through the landscape of this Notebook LM Zungenbrecher Contest 2025, at least as the source material describes it.
Yep. We looked at the classics in round one, the tougher known challenges in round two, and those intricate, specially designed linguistic puzzles of round three, guided by the source's own notes on why they're hard.
We've seen how the difficulty ramps up, pretty deliberately it seems, moving from common patterns to highly specific, challenging sound combinations.
From those intense splends, rapid K switches, sibilant clusters, tricky F combos, precise Z sounds, repetitive DR and GR, quick Ken-N-K transitions, strong R sounds, and that incredible complex weave of sh and S.
By digging into the source's lists and descriptions, you hopefully now have a clear understanding of what makes these particular tongue twisters so tough and how a contest like this might be structured to really push pronunciation skill.
You've basically seen the exam paper and the comments on why the questions are difficult.
It really makes you think about something we usually just do, speaking.
Right.
Consider how the physical mechanics, tongue, lips, teeth, airflow, vocal cords, stuff you rarely consciously control. How it can be combined and twisted into these incredibly precise, demanding forms. What does mastering challenges like these tell us about the flexibility and maybe the absolute limits of human articulation?
Yeah, it makes you wonder what other hidden linguistic hurdles are lurking just within the everyday sounds we use. How many potential tongue twisters are hiding in plain sight in your own language,
Huh. Something to chew on, perhaps very, very carefully.